Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone. I got a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen. But before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like. If you're new to the channel, first time here, never ever seen any of my NBA lineup advice videos, the only thing you need to do to be a part of the community and get this information on a consistent basis is to become a subscriber down below. So make sure you click on that subscribe button. Make sure you put on the bell icon. So this way you don't miss out on any of my NBA lineup advice videos. With that being said, today is Friday, January the 4th, 2019. We have a 10-game slate in the association. Let's get right to it. At point guard, we have here at the top, let's go through the injury news real quickly right here on the screen. We got Kyrie Irving out. Obviously, that is a bump and obviously a play for you guys as far as Terry Rozier. We come down here, Michael Connolly, game time decision. If he happens to be out, obviously Shelvin Mack is in play. We come down Ricky Rubio, game time decision. If he happens to be out, obviously you're going to want to have a little exposure to Dante Exum. Derrick Rose, Jeff Teague, both game time decisions. If either one of the two or both are out, obviously you will have to consider Tyus Jones once again. The only thing is Jones' price is really much is capped out right now at 6,500 with his average of about 30 to 33 fantasy points per game. And, of course, Rondo and Dragic are still out, and we know the deal there. All right, so let's move to the top. Russell Westbrook, you've been doing multiple lineups, especially if you're doing those quarter GPPs like I do. Definitely got to sprinkle in a little Russell Westbrook in there. So Mr. Westbrook is someone should be in play, but only if you're doing multiple lineups. I would say if you are doing the quarter ones, he's a good choice to sprinkle in there in a few lineups. I'm willing to pay down and pay $8,800 to the man who's going to go up against him today, and that's Damian Lillard. So Damian Lillard is someone that I'm considering at $8,800. His price tag went down from his last game, about $300 or $400, and again, he's playing at home where he's shooting 47% and 42% from three, 47% from the floor, and averaging about 44 fantasy points. So I kind of like that. He's averaging 27 points, nearly 5 rebounds, nearly 6 assists, 42.6 fantasy points per game, 8,800. You need pretty much 44. And on DK, he's 8,600. You need 43. And he's averaging about 43. As you see here, if I already tallied all this in his last 8 to 9 games, he's averaging 41 fantasy points per game, and smacked in between there, he did have 250 spot games, and he is capable of getting you a 60, as you can see down here, almost close to 60 here. So he's capable of getting you 60. Do like him in the matchup. We come over here a little bit closer, and as you can see, we know that he is a top dog on this team. He's going to get a lot of exposure. He's going to get a lot of usage. Usage is up 26 or better. Minutes pretty much on average about 35. I would say about 35 to 36 minutes a game on average. He's taking nearly 19, 20 shots a game. Has been not shooting really good the ball as of late. 8 of 21 and 1 of 9 in the last game. That's a poor shooting day for him. Still put up nearly 40 fantasy points due to the rebounding, due to the fact that he got to the foul line. He's a good free throw shooter if he can get there. He's taking about 5 or 6 threes a game, and as you can see, he fills up the stat sheet. He can get you rebounds and assists. The turnover ratio has been ridiculous. Look at this, 7, 3, and 5. He has 15 turnovers in the last 3 games. That is definitely hurting the fantasy point totals for us. If he can clean that up, he'll definitely help us out. And what he could do also is clean this up and actually add a few more steals and a few blocks here and there. That would be great. But he's capable of getting you steals. He's capable of getting you the occasional blocks, double-digit scoring. We know the whole deal there, man. We know he's capable of getting it all done. Last few games against OKC, put up 40, pretty much a 47 last year, 35, and a 62. So he's been able to get at least 60 or better against these guys in the past. As you can see, OKC is 9th in defending point guards, and they are allowing 27 fantasy points per game as of late. They did give up. They have, the bottom line is the last elite player they have faced was 7 games ago, and that was James Harden, who put up 62. Other than that, they have not faced any elite point guards. So he's in a good spot here if he's able to, bury his shots, because we know he's going to get opportunities. So Damian Lillard is in play for me. If you are looking to pay down a little bit more here, there are a couple other opportunities as well. I mean, you got Bledsoe here. He's a little bit choppy with his scoring as of late, but 7,200 is a pretty decent price tag for him. You need 35, 36 to meet value. He's averaging 32. Obviously, if Rubio and Rose are out, Lonzo Ball will probably be the next possible choice. I definitely like Lonzo Ball here going up against the Knicks. We all know that Kyle Kuzma has a back contusion. If he happens to be out, chances are he probably will be. I would think that if they just discovered this just a day or so ago, it's not enough time for him to rest the contusion. So if he is definitely in any kind of pain, he's going to be out. It's going to definitely be a little bonus for Ball, because then he's going to have to not only facilitate and be able to get the other guys involved, but he's going to have to probably put up a couple more shots, and that's going to probably help with his assist totals as well as his possible scoring. So Lonzo Ball could be a definitely good play in going up against my Knickerbockers, who are vulnerable in a number of areas. I think Lonzo Ball will be someone to consider. New York is 20th in defending point guards. They've been allowing 27 fantasy points per game. So they are someone that you definitely want to be able to put up. Lonzo Ball is definitely someone you want to consider. And not only that, he did put up 43.6 fantasy points in his last game against New York. One game that he had against them last year, he put up 43.6. So he's someone to consider. You come down, Terry Rozier is in play for me as well today. So that's a third option right there. 6,100. You need pretty much 30. He's going up against Dallas. They're 11th in defending point guards, and have been giving up nearly 37 fantasy points per game to the opposing point guards. So that's not a bad spot for him to be in. They gave up recently 44 and 68 in back-to-back games to Mr. Westbrook, and they did held down Kemba Walker to only 22, but Kemba did not shoot well in that game. He did have one game against Dallas, and he put up a 24 spot last year. So Terry Rozier and again, you can't compare that last year 24 spot with the position he is in today. He's going to get 30 to 35 minutes or better. He's going to start. He's going to need to put the ball up. He's going to need to be offensive minded. So Terry Rozier is definitely someone to consider. You come down here, you also got to consider Emmanuel Mudiay against the Lakers. Even though Lonzo Ball has been playing well as of late, Mudiay has been pretty solid as well. 5,900 for him. The Lakers are 12th in defending point guards, and they've been giving up 36.3 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards as of late. They did give up 56 to Westbrook and 45 and 50 in back-to-back games to Mr. Fox and 35 to Connolly. Now, granted, Mudiay is not a Fox, is not a Westbrook or Connolly, but he is at 5,900 price tag. You only need 29, and if he's been averaging more than 30 as of late, I think he has a chance. And not only that, he also gets more than enough minutes. And 31 minutes, 23-27, as you can see, he's capable of getting you as high in the 40s and even 50s. So he has a lot of upside. Great spot for him as well. And anybody else there you might want to consider, D'Angelo, obviously Dante Exum, like I had mentioned. D'Anthony Melton, 4,500, not a bad spot for him too, going up against the Clippers. The Clippers have been vulnerable as far as giving up fantasy point totals. They have been defending fairly well, but they've still been giving up big points, obviously to the bigger point guards. They did give up 39 to Simmons, 34 to White, 33 to Ball, 44 to Fox, and 55 to Curry in the last 5 games straight. That tallies up to about 40 fantasy points per game to the opposing point guards. And this young man did put up a 33.8, nearly a 34 spot in his first meeting against the Clippers on December the 10th. So D'Anthony Melton could be someone to consider here. And, of course, like I said, Dante Exum will be someone to consider as well. And, of course, the injury to Connolly, if he's out, you got to have some exposure to Shelvin Mack. All right. Let's go to shooting guard. At shooting guard, at the top, you got Bradley Beal at 8,970, Devin Booker, and Victor Oladipo. I do love Booker and Oladipo. I will have the most exposure to these two guys. I don't know which way I'm leaning towards, to whom I'm leaning towards more so, but I do like both of them and their matchups. Right now, I will probably say Oladipo just for the sake of the video, but again, I will have exposure to Booker as well in my GPPs. I think he has good upside. He's in a great spot here against the Clippers in this matchup. But Victor Oladipo, I will speak upon Oladipo in this matchup against Chicago. 8,800, Victor Oladipo. Let's open this up. He's averaging pretty much almost close to 20 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He balances out the stat sheet, 39.4 fantasy points per game, 8,800. You need 44 from him here. On DK, I think he's the same price on DK. Yes, he is 8,800 on DK as well. So Victor Oladipo, better deal on Fanduel. Anytime that they're the same price in the same in the two platforms, you will want to lean more towards Fanduel due to the fact that we have a bigger budget. So, Victor, let's look at Victor a little bit closely here, man. 48 spot in his last game. He's starting to get going again, 34 better. He's been averaging 39. He's been at 34 plus in about 1, 2, 3, 4 out of his last 5 games. Let's take a look at the rest of his game log here. and Mr. Oladipo and Victor. Minutes are there. We know that he is the top dog here on this team. Minutes are there, 32 to 33 minutes per game, pretty much on average or better. His usage rate is at 26, 27% on average. The shots are there. He's taking about 16 or 17 shots per game. I would say more like 14 or 15 as of late. And he's getting about 5 to 6 threes on average. Not really shooting particularly well from the three, but he does take about 5 or 6 a game. He gets to the free throw line. He's very good there. And, of course, he fills up the stat sheet with rebounds and assists, and he is a pretty good defender. And his turnover ratio is not too bad. We'll love to see it a little bit better. The last 2 games have been good at 1 and 2 turnovers only, and he has turned around and gotten 4 steals. Pretty much 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 steals over the last 5 games. Hasn't had any blocks in a while, but he is capable of getting you the occasional block. He's going up against Chicago. Chicago is 3rd defending shooting guards thus far this year, and they've been allowing nearly 32 fantasy points per game. He did play these guys last year, and let me just point that out. And he put up a 58 spot in the prior year before that. Actually, this was this year. 58 spot in his last game. Sorry about that. And he was priced at $9,000. He's $200 cheaper in this matchup. And he did put up 3 solid games last year. So one of the reasons why I'm favoring him a little bit more than Booker is that he has had great success, and the matchup seems to be better for him as far as how he has done against the Chicago Bulls. So Oladipo is in play. Other than that, if you're not looking at Booker or Oladipo, obviously Doncic, man, I like the kid. He's the rookie of the year, hands down already. The guy is fantastic. The young man, 7,800. You could consider him against Boston. Boston is a tough draw as far as shooting guard and small forward positions, so it might be a tough matchup for him. I'm not going to be high on him, but I'm saying you could possibly go that way. I do like Donovan Mitchell at 7,400. I think that's not a bad play. He's going up against Cleveland. Cleveland is 22nd in defending shooting guards. They've given up 29.3 fantasy points per game as of late to opposing shooting guards. Did give up 33 and 32 in back-to-back games to Josh Richardson and 42 to Chris Dunn not so long ago. He did play against Cleveland and put up a 50.8 spot last year in his last meeting against them. So he has had at least one successful game against them in the few games that he has played against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I like Mitchell there. I mean, he has a lot of upside at 7,400. I mean, you only really need is about 36, 37 fantasy points, and we know he has got 50-point upside. He really hasn't gotten it going yet, but this may be a game that he can probably do that. Lou Will is definitely someone I'm considering here. He's been on fire, 6,800. You need about 34 to meet value. He's going up against Phoenix, who is 21st in defending shooting guards, 31 fantasy points per game that have been given up to opposing shooting guards in the last 5 games. They did give up 42 recently to J.J. Redick, 25 to Klay Thompson, and 37 to Dennis Schroeder. And this guy's game log, as you can see, he's been just really good. The minutes are there, over 24, 25 minutes a game, nearly almost 30 minutes. And he's put up a 37, 28, 47, 39, 30, pretty much 39 here as well, and a 41 here. So he has been rock solid. And he's been rock solid. It's plain and simple, man. The guy has been really, really good. So Lou Will is someone to consider there in that spot. Andrew Wiggins, him and Mr. Towns got to be the top dogs for Minnesota in this game against Orlando. You can have him as a consideration. Definitely like Lou Will more for $300 more. You come down here, you always got to consider possibly Tim Hardaway in the Laker game, pace-up game, Knickerbockers. Tim Hardaway gets a ton of usage and takes a ton of shots. Other than that, I think that's it. Marcus Smart, Alec Burks, these guys. Burks is going up against his former team. Definitely got to, if you want to think of that revenge game narrative, he could be someone to consider at 4,500. The Cavaliers have been utilizing him. I'm going to come down. If you're not on Burks with the revenge game, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown, either one of the two against Dallas is not a bad play. You take your pick. I think Marcus Smart, better defender, can get you more steals. Jaylen Brown, more of a scorer. Take your pick there. Cortavious Caldwell-Pope, definitely in play. KCP, 4,500. He's had a good solid game or two. Has played against the Knicks before. Last time he played the Knicks, he put up a 41 spot. The Knicks are 27th in defending shooting guards and allowing 32.5 fantasy points per game. So Caldwell-Pope is someone you got to consider. So, let's move on, man. I'll be here forever telling you a ton of guys. Small forward. At the top, obviously, you got Giannis. Man, Giannis at 12,005 will sprinkle in the GPPs, in the quarter ones. As far as the core, going up against Atlanta, tough matchup because Atlanta, it could be a blowout early, and I'm concerned with him not getting, obviously, to value here. So that's the main concern there is they are playing against the Atlanta Hawks. It is a paced-up game. Milwaukee could play that game as well, but they got quite a bit of weapons compared to Atlanta, so something tells me this game is going to get a little out of hand. You could go Paul George. He's been one of my best favorite players so far this year, and the way he's been playing, he's very consistent. 10,002, you need 50. You could go that route, but I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna suggest you guys take a good look at Brandon Ingram at 6,900. If there's no Kuzma, it just opens up the door for more usage and more shots for him. Obviously, it opens up the doors for Zubac to get some more minutes and possibly some play. Who knows? They may sprinkle him in and put him in the 4 spot for Kuz. Definitely is going to open up the doors for Ball. And, of course, it's going to open up the doors for the other two guys I mentioned in Josh Hart and KCP, which I would favor KCP because of his price tag being a lot much more cheaper. But Brandon Ingram, 6,900. If there's no Kyle Kuzma, he'll be even a more excellent play. He is 6,900 here. On Fanduel, on DK, he's 6,800, 16 points, pretty much 4.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 26.7 fantasy points, nearly 27 fantasy points per game. He's been smashing 36 plus in the last 2 games, so he's definitely trending upward in his minutes up through the roof, and that's obviously with no LeBron James, which I forgot to mention. No LeBron James obviously is one of the reasons why his minutes up, and again, it will benefit him even more so if Kyle Kuzma happens to be out, which I believe he will be because he has a back contusion. So again, Brandon Ingram is in play for me, man. I really do like him in this matchup, and it's all strictly to the factors of him getting a bump in usage and in minutes due to the fact that they need some offense. So you got to take advantage of that. It's not so much so about matchup or past history or anything like that. It's more of the factors that, they're going to need him to step it up. Small forward. And where is he? Brandon Ingram. Okay. So Mr. Ingram, so again, this is more of the matchup. I mean, as you can see, the shots have been more so now as of late. He's going to have to take that many shots or more if there's no Kyle Kuzma. The minutes are going to be up high today. So definitely an opportunity for him. He can get you rebounds. He can get you some assists. He's been turning over the ball. I mean, these Lakers, they turn over the ball quite a bit. 4 and 3. There's 7 turnovers in the last 2 games. But he can get you some blocks. He's pretty active with his feet in defending and getting some shot blocks. And, of course, he's able to get you a couple of steals. He's been solid, like you see here in the last 2 games. He's going up against the Knicks. The Knicks are 18th in defending small forwards, allowing 29.8. So let's round that off to 30 fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards as of late. They did give up 67 to Giannis, and they gave up 41 to Mr. Collins of Atlanta. So there is definitely an opportunity there for him to at least be able to meet value and possibly even crush it. So Brandon Ingram, definitely like him here at that price tag of 6,900. If you're not on Ingram, obviously for me, Gallo is someone you got to consider. He's been really, really good against this team. 32 plus in 3 straight games, and he did put up a 36 and 54 spot so far in 2 games this year against the Phoenix Suns. So he is someone you must consider in the matchup just due to the success he's had against this team already. Other than that, I'm not too high on Richardson and Winslow today. At that price tag, I think that one of the two will get at least a value. Like I said, definitely love Ingram. Coming down a little lower, TJ Warren could be someone to consider here. His price tag is down against the Clippers, and the Clippers have a little vulnerability there. They're 30th in defending small forwards. They are the worst in defending small forwards this year. They've given up 32 fantasy points per game as of late. He did put up a 43 and a 45 spot versus this team last year in 2 out of the 3 meetings. So someone to consider there. I mean, if he's able to get 40 on these guys, he's going to be able to exceed value because at 6,200, you only need 30 to meet value, 31. So TJ Warren, someone to consider. Come down a little lower. Joe Ingles versus Cleveland definitely is not a bad spot for him either at 5,800. I think Joe Ingles is someone you can consider. If there's no Ricky Rubio, we know that he usually gets a little bit more of a bump as far as usage is concerned because he's going to need to put up a few more shots with no Ricky Rubio. Somebody's got to compensate for the shots that Ricky puts up, and he is one of the ones that will benefit from that. So Joe Ingles is someone in play, and especially if he gets hot from 3, he can definitely do some justice. He did put 24 and 28 respectively in 2 games against Cleveland last year. Cleveland is 24th in defending small forwards, and they have been allowing they have been allowing 26 fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards. Then we got here another guy that I do like here is Damari Carroll. With all the injuries that the Nets have, Hollis Jefferson is now out. We already know that Mr. Crab has been out. Damari Carroll is someone that I also would consider as well here today at 5,500. Last few games, he's been putting up some serious numbers. He's playing more than 30 minutes a game, 30, 29, 31. So 29 or better in 3 straight games at 5,500. You need only 27 to me value. Definitely like him here as well. He's someone to consider. Granted, Memphis is a team that definitely likes to slow down the pace, better defensive team, but with no Crab, no Hollis Jefferson, they need offense. Somebody's got to step it up. So it's obviously going to be on Dinwiddie, Mr. Russell, and guys like Carroll to be able to step up. And, of course, guys like Joe Harris. Don't forget about Joe Harris as well. But his usage rate and his shots are going to have to definitely increase a little bit more now with Hollis Jefferson out. So Damari Carroll is someone to consider. He has had did get a 38 spot last year. Actually, he did a 38.8 fantasy point total in one matchup already this year, and did put up a 30 and 39 last year. So he's actually had 3 straight games at 30 plus against the Memphis Grizzlies. So definitely someone to consider. You also have to consider down here at the bottom tier, Otto Porter Jr. Definitely someone in play, 4,900, starting to get the minutes back. And remember, he was away with an injury for a while. He is back. He's definitely someone to consider. 4,900, man. He has 40-point upside. And then you got Joe Harris, like I mentioned. He's been pretty steady for the Nets. He's going to be someone to consider as well. All right. And there's a number of other guys. You got Rodney Hood here going up against his former team. Man, I can go on and on, but that's pretty much the bottom line there. Let's go over to power forward. At power forward at the top, you got John Collins, Aaron Gordon, and Tobias Harris, Montrezl Harrell. And, this is a very tough spot here because I really don't like a whole lot of the guys in the bottom, but there are some guys there in between that are pretty good. But I'm going to go with Tobias Harris here. I think Tobias Harris against Phoenix. Who's going to actually defend this guy? I just can't see it. It's either him or Harrell's going to go off. But I'm going to go with Tobias Harris. I do like Aaron Gordon in this matchup against Minnesota as well, because Minnesota only got Mr. Sarge and Mr. Gibson up in the 4 spot, and I think he's going to have a few games. So it's a toss-up for me right now. I will have exposure to both, guaranteed, but I'm leaning more towards, at least for the video, I would say Tobias Harris in a good spot against Phoenix. He's had 5 out of his last 8 games, at least 35 fantasy points or better, and he's averaging 35. He's coming in 21 points, 8 rebounds, pretty much 2 assists, 35 fantasy points, 7,400. You need 37 to meet value. And on DK, he's 7,100. You need 35. He is capable of getting it done. He has 50-point upside, as we know. Could definitely score. And this is more of a choice, like I said, because of the matchup. I just don't know whom is going to be able to stop or be able to defend this guy. So I am looking at it more more so than anything else. Because as you can see, if you look at his numbers on his game log, he has not looked pretty over the last 10 games. But nonetheless, he is priced down a little bit, so which is fine. This is a guy that's capable of being an $8,500 player, and he's at 7,400. Like I said, 50-point upside. He definitely gets more than enough minutes, 30 or better. His usage rate is good, about 25, maybe about, 23, 24% on average. And, of course, he is going to get 15 to 16 shots from the floor per game. He's just definitely got to knock down his shots better. His field goal percentage hasn't been that good as of late. He is capable of hitting you some threes. He takes a few, about 2 or 3 a game. Gets to the foul line, is very good, as you can see. Only has missed 1 free throw in about 9 games. Or 8 or 9 games, and of course he can get you rebounds. He could get a couple assists, and he definitely brings a little bit of defense. He gives you some steals, and maybe the occasional block, not so much so. He's good with not turning over the ball. So he's a pretty solid player, pretty solid player. He's going up against Phoenix, and Phoenix, as you can see, he put up a 52 spot back on December the 10th, and he did have a 58 spot last year as well. Phoenix is coming in here 21st in defending power forwards, and they've been giving up almost 31.5, pretty much 31.6 fantasy points per game. They did give a 29 to Draymond Green, 36 to Jeremy Grant, and 34 to Mr. Aaron Gordon. So I think Harris is in a good spot here. I think he can get us 35-40 and could possibly smash and get 50. I really like the matchup. I don't see whom is going to defend him. So Tobias Harris is in play. I also think Aaron Gordon is going to have a heck of a game too. So you could go that route if you're not going to go with Harris. Other than that, obviously Harrell is in play. Same matchup against Phoenix. Other than that, coming down a little lower as far as cheaper plays, maybe Wendell Carter Jr. just simply against Indiana. It's 5,900. He did put up 37 and 34 in 2 games already against this team. Could go that route. I still do like Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant, I've been on him a few times. He's been pretty solid, pretty consistent. Going up against Portland, they're 10th in defending power forwards, giving up 27 points per game. He did put up 24, 25, and 25 in 3 respective games last year. So this is the first time he's going up against Portland. You can also consider Luke Cornett here for the Knicks. 5,500 price tag is up, but Cornett is going up against the Lakers. They're 26 in defending power forwards, and they have allowed 31 fantasy points as of late. And of course, if there's no Kyle Kuzma, hey, you know what? This is an opportunity. Even though he starts at center and he's here as a power forward, I could see him having a little bit of an advantage with his height and his shooting ability, especially from perimeter as well as the 3-point range. Luke Cornett could be a possible play here at 5,500. He has had 3 straight games at 30+, so he's been pretty solid for the Knickerbockers, and granted his price tag has come up. And you always got to consider James Johnson. He's just a brute force up front. Karukos could be someone to consider in the Brooklyn game. This is just a number. They're actually, to be honest, it's a number of nice little possible low value plays down here in this power forward position today with Bam Adebayo here, Kelly Olynyk. It's tough to choose with the Miami players because they use so many front court players. Let's move on, man. So let's go over to center. At center, it's going to be short and easy, man. I love Karl Anthony Towns. I will have a lot of exposure to him. He's just been red hot. He is the lead. Has the leading role now. Let's put it, so to speak, for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Other than him, I love Marc Gasol against Brooklyn. I love picking on Brooklyn. Marc Gasol's in a good spot as well. I'm going to speak about Marc Gasol just simply for the video to give you that other option that is a little bit cheaper, but Karl Anthony Towns, I'm going to have at least 50% or more of my lineups is going to have Karl Anthony Towns. He's like one of my favorite plays here today. I love the matchup. As a matter of fact, he's 10,006. You need 53 on DK. He's 9,900. You need 49. He has had 5 straight games at 47+. All right. He's put up 2 70 spots and 1 90 spot during that stretch. He also has had 35 minutes per game on average. His usage rate is about 32% or better. And he's taken at least 21 to 22 shots per game, especially in the last 3 games. So again, he has been so darn good. You just cannot overlook him in a matchup like this today. So I do like him here. Vucevic and him are both not great defenders. I wouldn't say they're bad defenders. They're not great defenders. So I can see Vucevic having a good game as well. But you just got to go with Karl Anthony Towns. And, of course, he's also at home. It's a totally different animal now because this obviously with Butler gone and now all the injuries, no Teague, possibly no Rose. There's definitely no Covington. Is gonna fall on him to definitely put up some serious points here tonight. So he's someone that you can definitely consider today. And like I said, Marc Gasol is probably my more favorite play if you want to pay down at 8,400. I think he's a solid play. At 8,400, you need pretty much 42. No, you need about 40. Yeah, about 42 fantasy points, and he's averaging 39. He's 4 out of his last 7 games. He's at 39 or better. Let's take a look a little closer here on the Fantasy Cruncher. And Gasol, and as you can see, the Nets are dead last in defending centers. So another intrigue. Now, granted, the game log doesn't look pretty. But again, a couple losses here. Games didn't look good for the team. He did shoot fine. He's getting his 10, 11 shots a game. His usage rate is going to be at that 20, 21% ratio. He's not the top dog on this team, but he's going to get minutes. He's going to get 33 or better. He can hit an occasional 3. He takes 2 or 3 a game, as you can see here on average. He is a pretty good free throw shooter, and of course, he brings the rebounding, and he's capable of getting you assists, and of course, he brings the defense. He's one of the better defensive centers in the NBA. 2 blocks, 1, 4. He has 8 blocks, 9 blocks, 10, 11, 12 in the last 6, 7 games, and 5 steals actually 9 steals within that same stretch. So he definitely moves his feet and definitely defends with those hands. So Marc Gasol is in play. Going up against Brooklyn, 30th in defending centers. And they've been coughing up 35.7 fantasy points per game. They just recently gave 36 to Mr. Randall, 32 to Brook Lopez, and 47 to Cody Zeller. Now, come on now. If Cody Zeller can get 47 and Brook Lopez can get 32, Marc Gasol from the three-point strike from the perimeter and underneath that basket can get himself at least 40 to 45 or better. So I think he's going to smash today. I think he'll get 50 or better. I love Marc Gasol. So those are the two favorite plays. If you're going to pay down a little bit more, I do like, obviously, you always got to consider Whiteside, but damn, 7,000 and then that front court, they just use so many different guys there. He's not getting enough minutes. You got to definitely consider the young kid Bryant. I've suggested him the last few times, and he's done fairly well, so he's got to consider him. I will have a little exposure to Thomas Bryant. He's been playing really, really well. And then if you want to pay down a little bit lower, I would say the next best bet is Dwayne Dedmon. 5,500, you cannot go wrong with a guy who's averaging 25 and is capable of getting you 40 or 45 or better. I mean, he has 40, 45-point upside. So you can see 45 here. He can get you even close to 50. And at that price tag, you only need 27. So Dwayne Dedmon, as long as he gets 27, 30 minutes or better in this matchup, is a good chance that he can get you 1 to 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So Dedmon is someone to consider. And I think that is it. Obviously, you got to consider Zubac. I mean, 3,700 as a budget play here, drop spot play. He is definitely someone you got to consider. He's going to get some minutes today, and that's pretty much it. That's the only guy I would consider down there. So Zubac definitely in play, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you guys a lot of luck. Drop a like on the video. Definitely, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe down below. I appreciate that. And again, I wish you guys a lot of luck, and I'll see you guys on the next video.